Welcome inside the Sanford Pentagon here in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, as we continue on with our coverage of the Mammoth Sports Construction Crossover Classic. This is going to be a good one here tonight as Washington, out of the Pac-12, winners of 3 of their last 4, get set to take on one of the hottest offenses in the country in South Dakota State, who come in with their 5-1 record. I'm JJ Hardigan, he's Freddie Coleman. We're delighted to have you with us here today. And Freddie, this is going to be a treat here to cap off day 2 of this crossover tournament.
It really will. 2 really good teams, 2 well-coached teams, but it's going to be really interesting to see how South Dakota State attacks the zone of Washington. Washington really active. They get out in transition. They get some buckets on the other end. They try to cause some turnovers, but South Dakota State, like JJ just said, one of the hottest shooting teams in the country right now, so it's going to be really interesting to see how they attack this zone.
SDSU hit 11 three-pointers last night. They're one of the hottest shooting three-point teams in the country. They didn't need that, though, from Doug Wilson. He did a lot of great things inside with his season-high 24 points on 9 of 11 shooting, and he's one of our players to watch tonight. He is a force to be reckoned with for the Jacks in the interior.
He's a quick twitch big. He's really athletic. He tries to get by you with his first step, but he's really crafty around the rim, can finish a lot of different ways, but very athletic, very explosive athlete.
Wilson was one of 5 Jackrabbits in double figures last night. He led the way with 24. Noah Friedel had 21. The Huskies got a great effort last night from P.J. Fuller, who came off the bench to drop a career-high 21 points in the win. He was terrific on 6 of 11 shooting.
If there's an area of improvement for this Washington team as a group, it's shooting collectively. And P.J. Fuller yesterday got them off to a hot start, knocking down some threes, but we talk about them in transition and creating some turnovers in that zone. He did a really good job of using his length, get tips and deflections, and creating points on the other end.
Taking a look at the comparison between our 2 players to watch, Douglas Wilson and P.J. Fuller. These 2 teams just really matched up well. One quick note, Terrell Brown Jr. is another player to keep an eye on today. 23 points in 37 minutes, but it was Washington's P.J. Fuller last night who stole the show. Maybe not quite the same numbers as far as season averages are concerned, Freddie Coleman, but these 2 guys are going to be electric in different ways.
Absolutely, and once again, Wilson does a really good job around the rim. He doesn't do a lot from the three-point line, but just a quick twitch big. Not a ton of back to the basket, but just first step trying to get a little bit of an advantage on a big. But Fuller, once again, that spark plug off of the bench. He doesn't start a lot of the games, but he will come off the bench and try to give some energy to this Washington Husky team.
South Dakota State now 5-1 in non-conference play this season, had 102 points in last night's win over Nevada. SDSU shot above 50% from three-point land, connecting on 17 made threes overall. South Dakota State is the only team in the nation right now with 6 games scoring at least 80 points and making at least 9 three-pointers in their contest this season. It's been terrific to watch what they've been able to do. For the Huskies last night, though, Freddie, they never really trailed in the final 27 minutes of their win against George Mason. Washington did make 19 of their final 21 free throw attempts and hit their final 7 in a row over the last 90 seconds to seal the three-point win. They're going to be looking for a similar effort today, and Coach Mike Hopkins, now in his 5th year with this program, really excited about the defensive intensity that they've brought out here so far through their first 5 games.
And that's what is really going to lead this team, is how they create points from the defensive end of the floor. Tips and transition to get these athletes out running. You can see them in warm-ups, right? They're playing with a little bit of juice right now. They're playing with some confidence. They're throwing the ball up in lobs, and they're doing all the ooh-ah plays. They got a little bit of swagger to them.
Taking a look at Coach Eric Henderson now in his 3rd season as the head coach of the South Dakota State Jackrabbits. 39-17 at SDSU, was the 2020 Summit League Coach of the Year. He's bringing back just about everybody from last season's team. We'll talk plenty about that throughout the course of today's action. But Hendo can't be more excited about the effort his team's brought through their first 6 games.
No, they've been great. The one game that they did lose against Alabama, one of the top teams in the country, they scored over 80 points. Problem was Alabama scored over 100 points. So South Dakota State can really fill it up. They're going to try to get out in transition and play fast and try to light this scoreboard up once again.
Matthews, Roberts, Davis, Brown, and Bay in the black uniforms for Washington. South Dakota State in their home whites tonight after serving as the road team in this neutral site facility. We'll have Friedel, Shireman, Dentlinger, Arians, and Wilson. Jackrabbits will play defense to start the day. Washington will handle the basketball. Davis finding Matthews early on. There's Brown, who led his team with 23 points last night. gets it started right where he left off last night. 2 easy points.
No, Brown's a fantastic player. The transfer from Arizona. He's a local kid coming back to play in Seattle where he's from. But he wants to get to that mid-range area. Not a ton of three-point opportunities from him. He's really creative, about 5 to 10 feet out.
There's your starting 5 at the bottom of the line for South Dakota State here today. Noah Friedel is going to be a guy we keep an eye on. Baylor Shireman, though, man, he's going to be one of those guys we talk about a lot. He does a lot of great things in all avenues for South Dakota State.
He's a jack of all trades. He can pass it, he can finish, he can shoot it. He plays with great pace. But once again, his biggest thing is I'm so super impressed by Shireman's ability to get others involved and his passing ability, a vision around the court. He just really gets South Dakota State rolling.
There's Roberts going to work on Dentlinger, who got into some foul trouble last night. Roberts, the left-handed turnaround, that's good, and the Huskies off to an early 4-0 start.
Get an early post touch to Roberts to get him going. He's not a huge offensive threat, but get a high percentage shot early at the paint. They're up 4-0 against this hot shooting South Dakota State team, playing with some confidence right now.
SDSU got out to a terrific start because of some three-point shooting last night. Shireman couldn't hit that one. It was Noah Friedel, though, who really paced the Jacks early, had 8 points over the first 3 minutes. Now a foul here as bodies go flying. First, actually second team foul on South Dakota State.
You know, with basketball now in mid-major conferences and playing Power 5 conferences, I mean, there is a difference in talent, right? Power 5 conferences, they just have athletes. And when you're playing some of these quote-unquote bigger, longer, more athletic teams, you got to take care of the basketball and you got to finish around the rim, because missed layups or long misses from 3 create transition opportunities for these athletes. And if you get this team out in transition, it's going to be 2 points or it's going to be free throws on the other end. So they have to not just limit turnovers, but also they have to convert at the rim, and they got to make those threes that can translate into transition layups.
Emmett Matthews can't connect on this one. Normally a 68% free throw shooter. Still a 4-0 Washington lead, as there's Noah Friedel, the hometown kid. Went to T Area High School, about a 10-minute drive away from the Pentagon. Now finding Arians, who lost his footing. Dentlinger there, though, saved the day. The Jacks still at 12 on the shot clock, trying to find a way through this tough zone defense. There's Friedel stepping up on Matthews, and he drains it from the top of the key. His first attempt from downtown, and Friedel connects.
It's a tough shot, and Noah Friedel is just a walking bucket. He can walk on the floor and get a bucket at any place. Gets to the rim, mid-range, can create separation off the bounce, can really stretch it to 3. Then you got Bay here coming back with another 3 here. Washington playing with some confidence, up 7-3 early in this first half. Got to start getting some stops if you're a South Dakota State fan.
Arians will bring it back outside, briefly hands it off to Dentlinger. Now works his way inside the lane. Nothing there. Now the fadeaway from 8 feet out, and that's good.
You know, we talk about Wilson, we talk about Shireman, we talk about Friedel. They just have so many different pieces that can score on this team. Then you got Arians here, who makes a contested, fall away 10-footer. They just got so many different pieces that can contribute in different ways. Great pass by Friedel, good finish by Dentlinger. That's how South Dakota State wants to play. They want to play in transition. They want to get the ball off the rim and push the break. They want to create a lot of opportunities scoring early in the shot clock.
Well, Washington had the hot start. Jacks even the tide now. It's all tied up. It's 7 apiece, and a traveling violation. That'll get this Jackrabbit-friendly crowd excited. This beautiful facility in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, the Sanford Pentagon, site of this Mammoth Sports Construction Crossover Classic. About a 40 to 45-minute drive away from the campus of South Dakota State University. And they bring a good fan base wherever they go, but particularly when they're in Sioux Falls, it gets loud and it gets really blue.
Yeah, let's be clear. This is a neutral site, but this is a home game for South Dakota State. Only 45 minutes south. Brookings is a little bit north of Sioux Falls, but there's a lot of blue and gold in the stands, and they're very familiar with this building, playing here last year 8 different times. So this is a place that they're very, very well familiar with.
Well, this Huskies team is howling right now. They're having some fun as Wilson misses on the lob attempt. Their bench making some noise and quieting this Jackrabbit fan base right now. You mentioned they brought a little bit of extra juice to the floor today, and they're responding early as Bay hits another 3, and there's that howl from the Husky bench.
They're playing. They're having fun. If you look at their bench, they're jumping up and down. Their arms are up. Coaches are communicating with their team. They're playing. They're having some fun. They're coming in right now as somewhat the underdog, but they're playing like a Power 5 team right now. Bigger, stronger, more athletic. They're shooting it right now. That's one of those areas of improvement that this Washington team could do, and they're playing with a ton of confidence.
Brown with a sick drive inside the lane that time. He had a game-high 23 points for Washington in the win last night. That was not an easy lane into the bucket, but a hard-earned 2 points. Friedel works it down low to Dentlinger. Back outside. Arians for three. That's good. Alex Arians with a couple early buckets, and he's got 5 points.
Inside-out jump shot, a flat-footed three for Arians. He's going to knock the majority of those down. He's a fantastic shooter. He's a lefty. But once again, if you can get inside the zone and you can have the zone collapse, you're going to have shooters on the outside being able to stare at the rim and knock them down.
Both teams have started out red hot. Washington 6 of 7, South Dakota State 4 of 7. As that lob pass from Davis nearly went in. He was looking for Roberts, just too strong on the attempt. Now Arians downloaded. Wilson with the two-hand stuff.
I mean, watch South Dakota State get the rebound, and they're just off and running. It's a track meet to the rim, and everybody knows they're going to eat if they run hard. So, you know, Arians has his head up. You know, Shireman, when he gets the ball in transition, he's always looking up the floor. Friedel does the same job. But those bigs, if they know that they're going to run down the floor, they're going to get rewarded on the other end of it.
These two teams are out there having some fun offensively. There's a turnover forced by the Jackrabbits. Now it'll be Shireman to lead the show as he pulls back. Little fade away from the free throw line. No. Good idea that time with Roberts and his momentum heading towards the hoop. Shireman maybe took the easier route, just didn't come away with the bucket like he had hoped. 14:25 left to go. This one a fast-paced first half so far between these two teams. A combined 11 makes on the field as Brown misses that one. Wilson corrals the defensive rebound.
Good pass. Couldn't handle it.
Just a little bit behind Dentlinger as Shireman tried to get it inside to his big man. But these two teams have been back and forth here so far today in a 4-point game inside the Pentagon. We're back with more NCAA Division I men's basketball in Sioux Falls after the break. Lots of blue and South Dakota State fans here so far tonight. They've been making some noise, but the Huskies right now making the most noise on the offensive end, leading by 3. 15-12 your score. Freddie Coleman looking at Washington's numbers so far today. 6 of 8 from the field. They've hit all 3 of their three-point attempts. They're maybe the surprise offense so far that can do no wrong tonight after SDSU's stout performance a day ago.
Yeah, in the 5 games that Washington's played so far, they haven't shot it particularly great from 3. Being 3 for 3 right now early in this first half is definitely a boost of confidence going into the rest of this game. But they can continue to keep shooting like this. I don't obviously expect them to make every shot that they take, but going 6 of 8 early is a good sign for the Washington Huskies.
Huskies have gone scoreless over the last 2 minutes, even with all their offensive success. The Jacks have gone on a little 5-0 run during that same stretch, so they've picked up the offensive firepower as well as Roberts kicks it over. And Matthews can't get the shot to go. Chuck Easley, who just checked in for the first time today for South Dakota State, secures the defensive rebound. That's Charlie Easley, who along with Zeke Mayo has provided a little depth for SDSU's guard position this year. That's Mayo in the left wing. They'll swing it around. Wilson inside. Shireman, no, couldn't get it to go off the left side of the iron. 15-12 your score. Washington with a chance to build on this 3-point lead. That one no good. Wilson crashing the boards, and another one and done this time around for the Huskies. Friedel lost it out of bounds there. He was open and had a good opportunity at it. Just had that one slip through his fingertips.
Well, I think Friedel was thinking shot before he had the basketball. It's moving a little bit too quick. Once again, they're going to play fast. That's what they do. That's what South Dakota State does. They're going to try to put points on the board. They're going to try to get shots early in the shot clock, early in the possession. Just moved a little bit too fast there.
Looking at some of the numbers early on today, Bay has actually been the hot one. Jamal Bay with 6 points on 2 of 3 shooting. He's on the sideline right now, though, as Brown tries to work his way out of some traffic. Now Matthews on the drive, kicks it back outside. 8 on the shot clock here for the Huskies. Friedel disrupts and steals that one away, but nobody looking on the other end. Now the lob to Matthews in the finish as SDSU commits the turnover. Washington makes him pay.
Got to take care of the basketball. Turnovers are going to be dunks, layups, and free throws on the other end every single time. So you got to make sure that you're taking care of that basketball.
Jacks shooting 50% on the day. Shireman runs into some trouble, finding Charlie Easley from the right wing, and he drains his first attempt from downtown.
You know, watching South Dakota State attack this zone, and I was wondering when they were going to go to this, but they put Baylor Shireman, their best passer, in the middle of it. So when they get a touch in the middle of the zone, he's not looking really to score. He's looking to see where he can disperse the ball to. Finds Easley there for the three.
Shireman from Aurora, Nebraska, was a quarterback in high school playing football. Kind of acting like that quarterback, facilitating it to his role players out there on the floor tonight. We get to the media timeout here. South Dakota State in a 2-point game, still trailing Washington. Easley with the three, getting his team back in it.
This game is brought to you by Mammoth Sports Construction. Do something big.
Back inside the Sanford Pentagon, site of this Mammoth Sports Construction Crossover Classic. Mammoth Sports Construction doing a great job right now working on this facility in particular. They're putting in a whole bunch of new youth baseball, softball fields, soccer fields. When it's all said and done, this is going to be one of the best youth athletic facilities in the country. We don't do just youth, though. We bring in college, high-quality athletic events here. And, of course, the NBA G League's affiliate from the Miami Heat, the Sioux Falls Skyforce, make this facility their home as well. So a lot of great things happening here in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. But this weekend, or rather this week, I should say, this is home to some high-quality NCAA Division I men's basketball. Jackrabbits, we're going to work inside, but Apple took the traveling violation and will head to the other end of the floor.
A little bit of a foot fault there by Apple, but I like them being aggressive. If they're going to cling to shooters like that, you know, these bigs, you know, Apple, Detlinger, you know, Wilson, they're going to have to go to work on the block and make them pay for being, giving them so much space.
2-point game right now. Huskies have been in control of this one from the get-go. SDSU has not led in this game. Largest lead was 8 points for Washington early on. Jacks have got back within 2, though. Huskies on the attack with Matthews, kind of their focal point offensively tonight, hitting another one. They'll review that one here in a moment. The officials weren't sure if his foot was on the line. As of right now, they'll give him 2. So 7 points on the day for Matthews. Shireman, little fade away from the free throw line. We saw him miss on that one earlier. Just hasn't quite found that touch from the 15-foot range.
That's a shot that he's really comfortable with. That's a shot that he practices, and he gets to his spots that he feels extremely comfortable. And he'll start making those. He'll start knocking them down. But once again, this South Dakota State team's got to continue to keep being aggressive and putting pressure on the rim.
Shireman 0 for 4 today. Fuller,
great
one of
pass.
our players to watch, as you mentioned. Great pass inside to Grant. Great facilitation that time. Just couldn't get the results that they wanted for the Huskies. Apple will go to work now, finding Arians. Mayo for 3. No. Nice rebound for Shireman, and he'll alertly bring it back out. Charlie Easley from the top of the key. No. Davis with the rebound for the Huskies, and he'll bring it back out. Quickly finding Fuller. A burst of speed into the front court, and he gets that one to go.
Can't let them score in transition. You got to keep that ball out in front of them. I know South Dakota State, they want to get out in transition, but you know, Washington athletes are a little bit different than South Dakota State's. You know, South Dakota State makes you, guard the three-point line a little bit different when they push fast, but, you know, these Washington Huskies are going to put pressure on the rim every single time they can get the ball off the floor.
Shireman maybe a little frustrated with the way he's been shooting so far today. Still a great passer, as you mentioned earlier on. That's already his 3rd assist, finding Apple. That brings the Jacks back within 5 again. Grant for 3 from the right wing, and the Huskies, I should say, are howling again. They're draining threes left and right now. That's their 5th made 3 in 6 tries. 9.5 minutes to go. Easily found a little lane, now fades away. His left short. Tough offensive rebound for Apple. Second chance try is good.
Apple's a worker down there. He's going to try to stay in the offensive glass. He's always going to try to come back over to that shoulder, but man, he's a physical presence down there and needs to continue to keep bringing that energy.
Washington going to Fuller, who drains the 3 in front of the Jackrabbit bench. Again, he's coming into the game off the bench today, but has made an immediate impact. 4 minutes, already 5 points on 2 of 2 shooting.
Man, Huskies are throwing that thing in from all over the place, from deep, at the rim, shooting it well. Once again, they got to shoot it better right now. They're shooting about as good as you can. Here's another one by Fuller.
Trying the heat check, 3, no. Got his own rebound, though, and a fresh 20 on the shot clock. Huskies with 2 returning starters from last season's bunch. As Davis swats that one out of bounds. Matthews did his best to keep it alive, but his foot was on the line. The Jacks will get some fresh subs back in. Most of their starters checking in.
You know what South Dakota State continue to keep doing is they got to make sure that they're contesting these threes. But give Washington credit, they're playing with a lot of offensive pace, and that's what's creating these three-point opportunities for them. They're trying to get downhill. They're getting the ball moving. They're not doing a lot of standing, and that's what they did a little bit of yesterday, and they have previously to these couple of games coming in. But they're playing with a lot of great pace, and that's what's getting them their shots right now.
That shot, no. Fuller with the rebound. He's going to lead the charge. 2-on-3 fast break. Didn't have the numbers, and his shot no good. Out of bounds, last touch by South Dakota. Or actually, they'll say last touch by the Huskies. I thought this was last touched by SDSU, and yeah, they'll turn it over. (28-19) your scores. You see Eric Henderson watching his Jackrabbits try to get out of some early offensive struggles today. 8 of 19 as a team. Still at 42%. A good shooting day as that one from Fuller airmailed into the third row of seats.
I think one of the kids went home with a souvenir.
Yeah.
One of those neon orange basketballs. Do you remember the circus peanuts, the little marshmallow? That's what those look, almost a orange-sicle, creamsicle color.
Someone took a highlighter and colored it up here before the game. 28-19 your score. Friedel been quiet so far with 3 points on 1 of 2 shooting. Boy, really all these Jack shooters from around the arc have had a tough time going so far. Washington has had the hot hand here so far today. The Pac-12 team here in South Dakota. These two teams get tangled up a little bit heading into our media timeout. We'll step aside for just a moment and back with more after the break. Here's P.J. Fuller for Washington, a terrific player transferred from TCU, now joining this Washington team. 29 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists. That was a high school debut that he had on this floor a few years ago, so no stranger to this facility. But that's when he was with Findlay Prep, the terrific youth basketball academy high school player. So he's no stranger to Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
Yeah, Findlay Prep is one of the most notorious, well-known prep schools in the country in Nevada. Always putting out top-level talent across the country. But, yeah, he's a fantastic player, and he's been giving this Washington group a spark the last 2 games.
That's one of the exciting things about this Sanford Pentagon here in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. All kinds of athletic events going on all times of the year. We've got, at times, big-time basketball going on. We've had some volleyball tournaments, but youth basketball tournaments. Mike Miller's brought some of his teams from Memphis up here over the years, and there have been some elite basketball, whether it be high school, college, the pros that have played on this floor.
Well, this facility is fantastic. Obviously, we're looking at the beautiful Heritage Court right now, but there's 9 full courts in this facility that houses not just basketball academies that do year-round programming, but also volleyball. And across the street is Sanford Power, which is a multi-purpose turf facility with strength and conditioning. And this is a fantastic campus, and the staff here is unbelievable, and they treat people well. And it's just an unbelievable place for the city of Sioux Falls.
Second year of this crossover classic. Last year, teams like West Virginia, Western Kentucky, Memphis, they were on this court. Teams that were in the mix for the March Madness tournament got into the NIT, a few of them. Expecting to see some of these teams that are here this weekend go deep when it gets into March. Another tough bucket on that end for Grant, as he's been doing some work early on for Washington. 2 minutes so far today for Grant. He's put in 4 points. As Mims looks down low to Wilson. Double team, the turnaround left short. Brown secures the loose ball. 3 from the right wing is no good. Washington 6 of 9 from three-point land here in this first half. And now an offensive foul is Dentlinger. The illegal screen at the top of the key.
Might have got him with a little bit of a hip there coming down in transition. That's a tough call right there. Dentlinger's got to be set. Could have went either way, in my opinion. But nonetheless, Washington ball.
Coach Hopkins looking on. He's got to be pleased with his team's effort, both offensively, defensively so far today. Spent a long time up at Syracuse, 22 seasons as an assistant coach under Jim Boeheim, and brings that zone defense and pressure that Coach Boeheim and his Orange have been so accustomed to over the years. This Washington team when they're clicking on all cylinders, is a dangerous threat out of the Pac-12.
But just the pace that they're playing with right now, I mean, it's a totally different team that we seen yesterday. They squeaked out a win against George Mason. They won by 3, but they're putting some pressure on the rim because they're playing with a ton of pace.
In a real tough portion of their non-conference schedule right now is Washington, as we get a foul here. They're going to get the foul on number 12 for Washington, Jackson Grant. But right now, they're in the mix. Just had a loss in overtime against Wyoming, George Mason, South Dakota State, Nevada this week, then Winthrop before getting into that Pac-12 schedule. So they're ending their non-conference run with a real tough slate here over these next 4 or 5 days.
And that's what you want to do as a staff, is you want to build a quality non-conference schedule going into your conference season. What it does, it gets your team ready, right? You get into the conference season, and that's going to prep you to get into March to hopefully prevail and play deeper into March. But this Washington staff has done a really good job of piecing together a competitive schedule.
Three-pointer from the top of the key, no good. Friedel with the rebound. Jacks 8 of 21 from the field to start the day offensively, 38%, trying to get their shooting going. Luke Apple getting it over to Arians, and it's going to be an offensive foul. Alex Arians will get tagged with the harm this time.
Looks like Davis was a little bit off balance there, but any time that you go to extend that right arm out or right elbow out, they're going to call it. If they see it come up, it's going to go the other way almost 99% of the time. So it's got to be aware of that, create separation with your bounce in your body versus actually extending out with your arm.
It's a 5-1 run for Washington over the last 3.5 minutes. And neither team has really set the world on fire scoring-wise here these last couple minutes of basketball. Fuller trying to provide that spark again for the Huskies as he finds Davis. Now Brown going to work. That shot is going to be a long 2 from the corner for Brown. Terrell Brown Jr., the senior graduate student transfer from Arizona, off to another good start here tonight. Apple inside the right hand. That's a hard-earned bucket over the outstretched arms of Grant.
And Washington's going to give them that look. Talk about staying attached to their shooters. They put a little bit more bodies around Wilson when he gets that touch. But Apple, Detlinger, they're going to have to make them pay in the post, and they're going to have to finish around the rim.
See if the Jags have a little run in them here down the stretch. Final 5 minutes of this first half. 32-22 now your score. Apple tangled up and in no man's land, gets it back outside. Friedel with the NBA range 3. That's no good. Wilson the offensive rebound, and his bucket is good underneath.
Now the South Dakota State fans, they're starting to get into a little bit. Butts are out of the seats. Players are playing with some energy. This is a good timeout by Coach Hopkins.
Yeah, Jags fans waking up as SDSU starts to go on a little run of their own here. They're back within 8. Freddie Coleman looking at the numbers here so far today. Really, it's not bad individual performances. Arians is 2 of 3. Wilson's 2 of 4. Apple's 3 of 3 from the field. As a team now up to 42% shooting on the day. They're just waking up a little bit later than Washington did.
Yeah, they just got to continue to do what they do, right? Continue to keep pushing, but be smart when you push, right? Don't force a square peg into a round hole. Continue to keep doing some of those things, but they got to get stops on the defensive end of the floor. And Washington started this game out really, really hot, shooting it extremely well. They're starting to cool down just a little bit. You know, South Dakota State is starting to settle in on the defensive end. But what they got to do is continue to keep banging the boards, getting offensive rebounds, tips and deflections that create different opportunities in offense. But just continue to keep doing what they do every single day.
Points off turnovers have been huge. We'll talk about that in a moment. Right now we want to look at this familiar floor that South Dakota State is playing on. This is the 16th game that they've played now on Heritage Court. 7-8 overall record. It hasn't always gone well for SDSU in this neutral site that's not too far away from their home campus. But from the Crossover Classic last year, they went 1-2, lost their only game in an upset fashion in the Summit League tournament here last year. But boy, they broke out in a big way last night. 102 points. It's the most points ever scored at the Pentagon in D1 men's basketball for SDSU in their win last night.
And we talked about it to open up the segment, and they shot it very, very well. They were clicking on all cylinders. Everybody that came off the bench for South Dakota State produced in some way or fashion. But that's what makes this group a really, really good basketball team, is because they're so deep and they're a veteran squad. They played a lot of minutes of basketball together for the last couple of seasons, and they got some youth coming up that they feel pretty excited about. And Zeke Mayo, I think he's going to be the next one up. But you know, the culture of South Dakota State as a program, I mean, for years they've been fantastic. They do things the right way. They preach taking care of the basketball. They preach being gritty and tough defensively. But they've always been a high-quality shot team, and that's why they've always been successful in the Summit League.
Washington with the lead, 6 of 11 from three-point land. They're shooting at 55% from beyond the arc in this first half. Jacks have been trying to force them out there a little bit more as of late, as they've come back down to earth a little bit, missing their last couple. Now Davis inside. They're going to say a jump ball. Possession arrow says we're going the other way.
It's a great take by Davis. Friedell's got to do a better job of keeping him in front. If he gets downhill like that, it's going to be a long night for South Dakota State, because it just continues to keep putting pressure on the rim with some of these bigger, longer athletes. But South Dakota State has to do a good job of just keeping the ball in front of them.
32-24 your score as Shireman dips it down low to Apple. He'll go in with the left hand, no. And Roberts is there to clean it up. Offensive rebounding pretty even today. Really, rebounding is even in this one here to this point. As Bay gets called for the offensive foul, lowered the shoulder, and the officials have really made that a point of emphasis this season.
You know, Shireman just continues to keep impressing me. He does so much, not just on the offensive end, but on the defensive end. He's not the extremely quick-twitched athlete, the super high-flying, explosive guy, but he just plays at his own pace. He almost has, I don't be careful when I say this, but has some Luka Doncic to him, where he just kind of plays at his own pace. Doesn't look too fast, doesn't look too quick, but he gets it done. And Luka does a really good job of creating space with the bounce, but Shireman's a fantastic passer and just a great player for the South Dakota State team.
Apple looking for a little seam as Roberts closes in on him defensively. He's had some tough looks down there, but Luke Apple now 4 of 5 from the field with 8 points to start the day.
Well, Washington's going to keep giving South Dakota State those looks in the post. They're staying attached to those shooters, and they're going to have to continue to keep making them pay at the post.
Bay with a little scoop shot up and under, and that's a nice finish. One of 2 players returning from last year's team. He's got 8 points on the day.
A little Julius Irving right there, a little up under the basket, put a little English on it. It's a good finish by Bay.
Shireman 0 for 4 from the field today, looking to facilitate his teammates. There's Friedell just missing on the backside of the iron. Wilson another offensive rebound, and that gets tipped out of bounds. Last touched by the Huskies.
You know, Wilson's doing a good job on the offensive glass. You know, he's not getting a ton of touches to get to the rim. I think Washington's doing a good job of putting bodies around him, which, in my opinion, is how you guard a guy like Wilson. You just got to make him finish through and around you. But he's creating some of these opportunities by himself by getting to the offensive glass and trying to get some second chance opportunities.
Friedell and Shireman are combined 1 for 9 to start the day. Luke Apple's been a breath of fresh air, though, 4 of 5 on the field. He goes back inside, no. Wilson, the putback, good, and a chance at a 3-point play.
There he is, another offensive rebound, another putback. Right now, South Dakota State's got 16 of their 28 points in the paint. That's fantastic. Create opportunities for yourself when you're not shooting it that well or you're struggling offensively. Get to the offensive glass, get to the free throw line, start creating some confidence as you're going into the second half.
That's Rob Klinkenfuss, the assistant coach for South Dakota State, in the ear of Noah Friedell, just trying to keep his confidence level up right now. Rob's been with the program for 16 years, has been one of the mainstays here at this coaching staff now for a long time.
Yeah, Coach Klink has been around for a very long time. He's obviously seen them through the transition from D2 to D1 with Coach Nagy for a long time, who's now at Wright State. Now he stays on as Coach Henderson's assistant. But he's seen this program through its ups and downs, and he's one of the big reasons why the culture is what it is. Obviously, Coach Henderson being the head coach, but Coach Klink has seen this thing through.
Yeah, he's the associate head coach, and you'll see Coach Henderson, as he is right now, go to the bench and get in the ear of Klinkenfuss as much as he can to try to catch maybe some sort of edge, some sort of way to get the advantage. It's a very unselfish group there. There you see Coach Klink on the left side, Eric Henderson, the head coach, right there in the long sleeve blue.
They both got the pose down, too.
Yep.
They like to, they must work on that in practice.
They don't want us to see what they're talking about over there. This game's getting tight, 34-28 now, your score with just over 2 minutes left to go in this first half. Brown at the line. Misses off the right side of the iron. That's his first free throw attempt of the night. 6 points, 3 rebounds, and an assist. You mentioned he had a terrific evening last night. Scored in double figures in all 5 games so far this season, but a bit of a slow start here so far.
Yeah, yesterday he was fantastic. Played in 37 minutes. He was 8 of 9 from the free throw line and ended up having 23 points, but he really took the game over in that second half against George Mason and was the reason why they prevailed and won that game by 3. But, you know, Brown's a player. He is a player, so they got to continue to keep him under wraps and try to keep his opportunities to a fault.
Friedel had that shot partially blocked. He'll get another chance. Little head fake this time, now looking to kick it away. His shot's not falling tonight. He's 1 of 6 overall, 1 of 4 from three-point land. Goes in strong and has it blocked by Roberts, out of bounds. Davis in transition now for the Huskies. Minute 48 left to go. Davis wants a 3. Nope. Shireman with the board. Now that's taken away, and Brown puts it in. Boy, these Huskies have done a great job of quieting this Jackrabbit crowd. Every time they've started making a little noise, it's been a 5-0 run in the Huskies. Hush them up.
Well, the Jackrabbit crowd is definitely not quiet right now. They're giving it to the refs a little bit of their thought on that last potential, they think, foul call, and a little bit of a bump there, but they're an animated group. South Dakota State fans over the year, and me as a former NDSU player and coach, I've gotten the brunt of that through the years a lot, but South Dakota State faithful is here and showing out.
Don't let them know you're a Bison too loud. It's a hostile territory for an NDSU guy, but this is getting to be interesting here. Washington allowed South Dakota State to get back within 2 possessions. It's now an 11-point game. Seems like SDSU's been trying to create space with their shots. Fadeaways, getting inside, getting that defender moving. Those shots just aren't falling right now. Do you like that mentality? That's kind of getting away from what they're kind of best known for offensively.
Well, credit Washington. They're keeping them out of this transition break, which, you know, Nevada didn't do a great job yesterday, and they're playing well defensively. They're putting a lot of bodies around Wilson to make his life a little bit more hectic for the first, 19 minutes of this game, but they're doing a really good job defensively, and hats off to Coach Hopkins and his group right now.
South Dakota State will take a 30-second timeout. We'll stay here. Fouls, by the way, each team has 6 team fouls. They've done a good job of staying out of foul trouble in this first half, but the next foul will be a bonus for both teams. For Coach Hopkins here over the final 49 seconds with the 11-point lead, what's he going over in that huddle right now as they work things out?
We'll just continue to do us and finish this half out well. You got 48 seconds left. Let's go into this half with a lead, the lead that we currently have. Maybe hopefully continue to keep building on it, but just do us. Don't foul, keep them in front, contest all shooters, and they've been doing that so far for the first part of this first half.
Coach Eric Henderson tried to keep it as light as he could as they came out of that huddle, but as he goes back to talk to his coaching staff, visibly frustrated with the way his team's shooting right now at 37% from the field, 33% from three-point land now in this first half of action. Shireman will inbound it to Wilson. He's had a tough matchup with Roberts. Spinning, trying to find his way in. That's a hard-earned 2 points for Douglas Wilson.
He's got great footwork. We talk about his first step and his explosiveness, but that was a crafty finish up and under a big 6'11" Roberts there.
9.7 rebounds for Doug Wilson so far here today. He leads the Jackson scoring. Brown with the ball at the top of the key. He's got 11 to lead all scorers in this one. Matthews for 3, and that's good in front of the Jackrabbit bench.
That's 2 threes for Matthews, and Matthews isn't known as a fantastic three-point shooter. He's definitely capable, as he just made 2, but it's not what he's known for. And South Dakota State's going to continue to keep giving that to him.
Shireman will try the fadeaway here at the buzzer and gets one to go. That erases an 0 for 5 start to his day, showing the frustration on his way back into the locker room, but he's brought his team back within 10. 42-32 your score at the halftime break. It's been all Huskies, though, so far in this first half of action. Brown and company go to work and have scored with ease here so far tonight. Back inside the Sanford Pentagon as we continue on with our coverage of this Mammoth Sports Construction Crossover Classic coming out of the halftime break. University of Washington leading South Dakota State 42-32. There have been players who've contributed in a variety of ways for Washington so far, with Matthews 11 points, Brown with 11 points. One of the unsung heroes in that starting rotation today is number 5, Jamal Hayes, who's one of 2 returning starters from last year's team. He'd been red hot before yesterday's game against George Mason, had a streak of 10-plus points in 8 straight games that was snapped after a poor performance last night, but he's got 8 points tonight, and he's been a big contributor in a lot of other ways for this team. 3 of 6 shooting so far tonight. Freddie Coleman in 14 minutes. Just another one of those players who stepped into his role nicely for Coach Hopkins and really excelling in here in this lineup for Washington.
Yeah, Jamal Bay's a fantastic player. He can do it at all levels. He can really score it. He's, a really good shooter, can really fill it up from 3. He's made 2 of their 7 made 3-point attempts tonight. He's shooting 41% from the year, so he's their best shooter statistically on their team. But he's done a really good job tonight of asserting himself in a positive way.
There he is, Jamal Bay. There's South Dakota State. They've had a tough day shooting from 3 so far. It's their season low so far tonight as far as 3-point shooting percentages are concerned. As you can see there, just hasn't quite gotten it going. This is tough against a zone defense that Washington's provided, but they're going to have to start hitting some threes if they want to erase this 10-point deficit.
Well, hats off to Washington and how they're defending them right now. They're making their life a little bit tough from the 3-point line, and that's what they do well. So as an opposing coach, you want to take away what the team that you're playing, what they do well.
Well, South Dakota State coming out with some aggressive defense here out of the halftime break. Now 9 on the shot clock, and Bay left open. He'll take a step inside, and that one hangs but does not fall on the rim. Friedel with the rebound, and SDSU will get off and running. 42-32 your score. SDSU, their first offensive possession of the second half. Got to get Friedel going. 1 of 7 from the field today. He'll attack and get that one off the glass and good. That's exactly what the doctor ordered. Friedel's got 5 points now on the night.
We talk about creating high percentage opportunities, high percentage shots, and the highest percentage shot is at the rim, right? Whether it's a layup or a dunk at the rim, but getting his head down, putting 2 feet in the paint and finishing high off the glass, that's a great start to the half.
See how Washington responds here now. They go to Roberts down low. Tough turnaround, and no, he took the extra step and traveled. Roberts has been quiet today. He's played 13 minutes, 5 rebounds, but only 2 points. He's only taken 1 shot from the field.
He's one of those guys that they don't, typically touch a ton. He's not a guy that's going to just wow you offensively and score 25, but he's a presence defensively, and he's a great rebounder.
42-34 your score. Jack's trying to get back in this game, now down by 8. There's Shireman going to work inside against Davis. The fadeaway wasn't there for him in the first half, and continuing to have issues finding that shot here in the second half. He's now 1 of 7 from the field today. Just 2 points in 20 minutes. That's a team high 20 minutes for Shireman. Matthews. Lob pass inside, tipped and deflected away. Jackson with a couple nice turnovers. Now trying to turn that into points. Off the turnover as Wilson has his shot partially blocked. Brown going coast to coast. Easy right-handed finish for Terrell Brown, who's got 13 on the night.
Talk about these quick, these long athletic teams, you miss layups at the rim, turnovers, that's how it's going to result in the opposite end. So got tipped for that lob right there. There's another layup for Friedel, but just misses it off the front end.
Yeah, I think he was expecting a little bit more pressure from the defense that time, and it never showed up. Matthews from deep downtown, that's no good. Alex Arians with the rebound, his 3rd of the contest. Shireman going down low to Dentlinger. He'll step back and launch. Nope. Roberts with another defensive board.
We really haven't seen how South Dakota State has made adjustments to get shots yet because they're playing so fast in transition and they're getting earlier ones.
Roberts now with 8 rebounds on the day. They're going to try to get him going offensively as Davis hits the 3. Dejon Davis kind of looked like he was going to give that pass inside to Roberts. Instead, step back, hit his first shot of the night. Now 1 of 4 from the field, 1 of 2 from 3-point land. Arians lobs it in, takes it himself all the way.
It's a good pace of play right there by Arians, turning that corner and not really exploding the rim, knowing that Roberts is right in front, but just felt it out. Nice little touch shot over the front of the rim.
Arians now 3 of 4 from the field. He's got 7 points. Arians, Wilson, and Apple have been the biggest offensive threats for SDSU as Brown can't get it to go, and Dentlinger comes up with the rebound. Friedel kicks it out. Shireman wide open left wing for three. That's no good. And they're going to get Douglas Wilson as he came over the top that time to tip the rebound back. Instead commits the harm. .11 game. South Dakota State coming out of the gates, but exchanging points with Washington. They really haven't been able to make up any ground here in the second half so far. Both teams 2 makes and 5 tries since the intermission.
Well, South Dakota State's going to continue to keep playing their brand of basketball, which is up-tempo, fast, early shots. They just haven't been knocking them down. And once they start to fall, that's when this South Dakota State team becomes pretty scary. But as of right now, they're not. So that's why Washington's up right now 11.
Little over 16 minutes left to go as Fuller hands it off to Davis in for the two-handed slam. Fuller just makes such an impact when he comes in off that bench. That's his 3rd assist of the night. Nice find inside, getting it to Easley, and Shireman saying, oh, I can pass as well. Gets a nice dish inside to his guard. Fuller lobbing it down low to Grant. He got tangled up. SDSU trying to bring a little bit more of an aggressive defensive approach here. As Brown recollects himself, now looks inside, and a jump ball. They'll say jump ball. Possession arrow heading the other way as we head to the media timeout. It's an 11-point game now inside the Pentagon. Jacks trying to claw their way back in this one, but Davis and the Huskies are keeping them at arm's length. Taking a look at Emmett Matthews Jr., who tonight has 11 points for Washington, but a season ago played on this floor here in Sioux Falls, South Dakota when he was with West Virginia. Had a great run along with those Mountaineers, winning the Crossover Classic. He individually is looking to win his 2nd straight tournament here inside the Sanford Pentagon.
Yeah, he's had some success in this building too, not just South Dakota State, but Matthews has. And you talk about Coach Huggins at West Virginia and the type of brand of basketball they play. It's high energy, high pace, activity, pick you up 94 feet defensively. And that's what he brings to this team, to Washington. He plays with a lot of energy and a lot of passion.
Douglas Wilson couldn't complete the up and under. I think the biggest thing you noticed from those highlights from a year ago, nobody in the stands. They just had T-shirts on on the seats around here. It was basically you got in, you played basketball, and went straight back to the hotel. Much more relaxed, kind of getting back to what we're accustomed to. Packed houses, bodies in the seats, and kind of makes it for a more fun environment for everyone.
See, you were looking at the environment. I was looking as a dude that's bald. I was looking at Matthews' hair and how he's grown it out a little bit more.
Some jealousy, I get it.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? No hair, don't care. Bald and beautiful, that's what I call it.
Hey.
But, we get in where we fit in.
There you go. Well, there you go. It's South Dakota State's shooting percentage. 55% or better during their 4-game win streak tonight, right around 40%. These Jack fans are starting to make some noise again, though, with their team back within a 3-possession game. Fuller going to work on Arians, steps back and gets it to go. Maybe a little bit of a push there that time, not much, though.
I like the no call. Arians gave him a little bit of a flop, and that's a point of emphasis this year is giving out flopping warnings. But that's a good no call. Fuller knocks it down.
Douglas Wilson going up hard against Grant. Gets fouled and will go to the line, and really that's where South Dakota State I think needs to be trying to focus on. They're only 3 of 5 at the free throw line right now. 3-point shooting's not there for them tonight. Find ways to get points in alternative ways. If you can get 2 points there, get the 3rd at the free throw line, you can start to chip away at this 11-point lead.
No doubt, and Bay was just coaching up the young freshman and Grant about jumping straight up and not coming down, and that's where he got dinged with the foul. Grant's a fantastic player. He's going to have a fantastic career in the Pac-12. He's a really talented player, but got to stay straight up, and you can't let Wilson get to the foul line because, once again, he's a pretty good free throw shooter, but misses that one.
10-point game here inside the Pentagon, your Mammoth Sports Construction Crossover Classic. This is game 2 from day 2 of this tournament. Had some good matchups already here. We'll talk more about how this tournament has gone and what to look for in just a little bit as Charlie Easley got tangled up with Fuller. P.J. Fuller doesn't like the call, but the Texas Christian transfer.
That's what Easley brings to this squad. He's a tough, he's a gritty kid. He's not afraid to stick his nose in there and get hit a little bit. He's got the wrist taped up. He's a tough kid, tough and gritty, and he doesn't make too many mistakes. He makes you pay on the three-point line. He's a really good shooter, but he brings kind of that toughness to this group that South Dakota State needs right now.
Yeah, Easley and Mayo have been terrific additions into that guard pool. It was a little bit weak for South Dakota State as Doug Wilson can't get the finish. Great footwork again, just couldn't get the finish he wanted. And the Jacks fans don't like that call. They thought it should have stayed here.
South Dakota State faithful didn't like that call here as we get another look at it. Missed layup opportunity, but yeah, looks like the refs might have missed that one.
Yeah, maybe. Hendo can't help but smile for a moment as his coaches in the stands continue to make some noise. Matthews hands it off to Davis. Davis drives inside strong against Friedel. No, Grant the second chance though, and that's good. (53-41) your score, just under 14 minutes left to go now in this second half. Nice pass to Wilson. Boy, he's trying everything to find a way to get that ball fall through the rim, and this time had to go up and under, but a circus finish for Doug Wilson, who's got 14.
We had a Julius Irving sighting earlier. That was a little bit Iceman George Gervin right there. Good finish by Wilson around the rim.
And now an offensive foul will be called on the Huskies. The illegal screen at the top of the key for Grant, who picks up the personal. Taking a look at his numbers today, that will, I believe, be his fourth, if in fact it is on Grant. It is. So he's going to have to go to the sideline. We will be stepping aside as well. 10-point game. Jacks fans trying to will their team back into this one. Doug Wilson doing everything he can with his 14 points here tonight.
This game is brought to you by Mammoth Sports Construction. Do something big.
There you see the outside of the Sanford Pentagon here in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, the beautiful site of this three-day tournament. Freddie Coleman looking at the numbers here. The bigs are starting to take over this game. You see Doug Wilson on the left. You see Nate Roberts on the right. Nate Roberts has that 7'2" wingspan, standing at 6'10", and he's been doing a nice job of bottling up and defending Doug Wilson. But even so, Doug's getting his 5 of 8 from the field tonight with 14 points and 7 rebounds.
Yeah, Roberts is a big boy now. I said he's got a big wingspan. He's a good-looking athlete. Does a good job defensively. Fouls Friedel there on a contested three there, which you don't want. He had an early, bucket early in this first half, but for the most part, he's just been a good defensive piece for this Washington Husky team so far.
Yeah, that foul was on Roberts just as we were talking about him. Noah Friedel having a little bit of trouble shooting-wise tonight. 2 of 9 from the field, 1 of 4 from 3, but found a way to get to the line here. And this, his first free throw attempt of the evening, finds its way through the nylon.
If there's one thing that Friedel won't do, it won't be shy getting shots up. He's still going to hunt those shots down. He's a super competitive and aggressive type kid. He plays with a ton of confidence. Whether he makes 5 in a row or misses 10 in a row, he's still going to step up and try to knock the next one down. 23
minutes tonight for Noah Friedel. He's starting to get his, even though that shooting number isn't exactly where he wants it to be. 8 points on the night, and these Jack fans maybe smelling blood a little bit in the water. 53-46 your score. They're trying to make some noise and get their Jacks with a big stop here as Brown goes to work on Easley, and a little push there at the end from Terrell Brown, and the refs are going to slow him down. They shake hands quickly, and all sides will cool off. But
just friendly competitions. 2 guys going at it. Starting to get a little bit chippier, which is okay. But at the end of the day, it's 46-53. South Dakota State trying to get their way back into this game, and having South Dakota State faithful behind you, just kind of gives you a little bit more energy.
Brown will trigger it. There's Fuller in the corner, guarded by Friedel. 15 on the shot clock, under 13 minutes left to go now in regulation, and the Huskies will smartly slow things down a little bit. Fuller driving in with the right hand, and a nice finish for P.J. Fuller.
It's a fantastic individual effort by Fuller there. Great skip pass, but he just made a basketball play. Created some space, got into the paint, avoided some contact. Nice little touch over the front of the rim.
Friedel sizing up Roberts. That's a mismatch in favor of Roberts as Easley goes to work. They'll kick it back outside. Friedel going to work now. Strong in for the right-handed jam. Noah Friedel, get up, young man.
And that'll get everybody up out of their seats. Now everybody's rolling. Now you got to get a stop if you're South Dakota State. That's a way to get back into this game. Down 7. Seems like every single time Washington's had an answer, and then they get a steal and transition opportunity here for South Dakota State.
Doug Wilson has his shot blocked by Roberts. Now running into some trouble, and he'll smartly kick it back out. These Jacks fans will sit for a moment. Wilson wants to eat, though. He's going to go to work on Roberts. Sliding inside, the tough look in the finish. He's got his eyes. 16 points for Doug Wilson. And a timeout called on the floor.
Hey, no offense to Roberts over there at Washington, but there's not a big in the black jerseys that can guard Wilson one-on-one on the wing like that. If he has space like that, it's going to be extremely tough for them to stay in front of him. He's extremely athletic, he's extremely bouncy, but South Dakota State right now is playing with a ton of energy, ton of passion, trying to climb their way back into this game.
Well, these Jacks fans are starting to sit down, but they were standing throughout our entire commercial break as their team gets back in it. It's a 5-point game inside the Pentagon. This is the site of the Mammoth Sports Construction Crossover Classic here on ESPN+. I'm JJ Hardigan. He's Freddie Coleman. Delighted that you're able to join us for this one. And this has turned into kind of a playoff-type atmosphere here inside the Pentagon. As these two teams duke it out here down the stretch. Washington still with the advantage and the basketball, though, Freddie. They're looking to maybe quiet this crowd again.
Yeah, well, South Dakota State's got all the momentum rolling right now, and Washington's had an answer every single time. And there's another one by Davis.
What a nice drive there for Davis. These Jacks fans do quiet down as the turnover going to be a costly one here. Goes right back to Washington. So what was a 5-point game could easily turn into a double-digit lead again here for the Huskies if the Jacks aren't careful. But that's some of that home cooking that SDSU can find at times here at this Crossover Classic. 2 straight years they've played in it. Last year the fans obviously weren't allowed to be here, but when their fans are making noise in this building, a place that seats less than 5,000, it can be deafening here at times.
No, it's definitely a hometown feel once South Dakota State gets rolling in this building, and it feels like all the cheers get a little bit louder and louder, and the roof can blow off this thing very easily.
See if the Jacks can't get Noah Friedel going. He's got 10 points on 3 of 10 shooting today. Shireman's been quiet, 1 of 8. He'll drive inside, kicks it out. 3 from Arians, no. Wilson, another offensive rebound. He's battling inside. Jump ball, possession arrow headed Washington's way.
It's a great defensive effort by Davis there, sticking his nose in there. Offensive rebound opportunities for Wilson again, but Davis gets his hands in there, creates a jump ball opportunity, and gives them the ball back. Those are winning plays right there. That's how you end up winning, not just now, but later in March, right? Creating opportunities, outside of just your organic ones. But that's a great stop right there by Davis.
Douglas Wilson, 9 rebounds today. 6 of them come on the offensive glass, and this one will get waved off here. Foul on the floor. It'll be called on South Dakota State. It's going to be on Shireman. That's the 3rd team foul on South Dakota State here as we approach the midway point of our second half. 5 team fouls for the Huskies, so something to keep our eye on here as we get later into this contest. Brown going to work on Easley, high off the glass and good. Not an easy finish, but Brown makes it look easy.
And this is Terrell Brown Jr. time right here. This is kind of the same time that he took over the game yesterday against George Mason. About 7 to 5 minutes left in the game. He just kind of willed them to victory.
Easley for 3. Wilson ends up tipping that to Friedel. He'll launch the corner 3, and it's good.
What a confident shot that was. Was it a good shot? Probably not, but it went in. So it's a great shot.
He's got 13 points. His second made 3 in 5 tries. Easily tips it to Wilson after the block, and the Jacks are off and running again. This one lobbed maybe a bit prematurely as they tried to find Wilson, and now Brown wants it on the other end of the floor, and he'll go in with a right-handed finish. Costly turnovers down the stretch here for South Dakota State. That's their 16th turnover of the game, by the way. 3 from Friedel off the iron. Well, he's starting to feel it, taking some risky shots, but will go to the line again for 3.
We talk about the confidence of Noah Friedel. That's just how he plays. That's how he always has played. Every shot's a good shot if he can see the rim. And it looks like Bay just got him in the face just a little bit as he was coming down to contest that shot. But now Friedel's going to the free throw line to shoot 3 for the second time this game.
Well, Freddie, as you know, sometimes you just got to let shooters shoot their way out of a funk. Tonight's been kind of that funky night for Friedel, 4 of 11 from the field, but when he gets hot, look out. It's just a matter of time and if and when.
When he gets cooking, it's a wrap, and he can really score from all 3 levels and anywhere on the floor. But he is just, talked about it earlier, just a WB, a walking bucket, and just an ultra-competitive kid that, once again, when he sees the rim, it's going to go up.
Friedel's a perfect 5 for 5 at the free throw line tonight. This one to give him 16 points and match Doug Wilson as his team's leader. There's a variety of ways you can be your team's leading scorer. Tonight we're seeing it a different way from Noah Friedel. These Jacks fans back within 5 are on their feet again. 9.5 ticks left to go. Brown lost it. Matthews on top of it. Davis recovers, drives in strong. Shireman with the block. Somehow Brown comes away from everyone, and that one's good. Some stick-to-itiveness that time for the Huskies.
Terrell Brown Jr. time, I'm telling you, he can sense it. You can feel it. That, you know, big-time players make big-time plays, and Terrell Brown is one of them.
Friedel stepping up, this time along 2, and it's good. Might be just about heat check time for Noah Friedel. He's got 18 points now on the night.
Big-time players make big-time plays. Noah Friedel just made one. We got 2 players going at it, and Brown and Friedel.
That shot no good. Jacks wanted a foul. Huskies wanted a flop. Instead, play continues on as Shireman tries from the free throw line. No.
Just hasn't got that shot to fall today. Normally, that's kind of his little staple of what he does. He gets kind of in that mid-range area with his frame at 6'6", can really knock that down, but just hasn't fallen for him today.
A little over 8 minutes left to go. It's getting hard to hear inside this building as Brown steps up and hits it off the glass, and that'll quiet this Jackrabbit bunch for just a moment.
Did he call Bank?
Banks are open late in Sioux Falls,
Guess
especially
so.
Before the holidays. 65-58 the score. Arians driving inside. Nope. Shireman for 3, and he'll hit.
The lid's starting to come off the basket a little bit for South Dakota State. Great offensively, but if they're going to turn this game around, they got to get stops on D. And Brown Jr. right now, Fuller, Bay, those are the guys that are scoring for Washington, but they got to keep the ball in front of them and contest them.
Brown going to work on Easley. He gets fouled, and the bucket should count. What an effort from Terrell Brown as he continues to go to work on this Jackrabbit defense.
Big-time players make big-time plays. Terrell Brown Jr. is taking this game over. He's putting this Washington Husky team on his back. Baylor Shireman hits a 3 here, but once again, South Dakota State, to get back into this game, has to continue to keep getting stops without fouling.
This game is brought to you by Sanford Health. Health lives here.
Looking inside right now at the Great Shots facility. It's a great golf sports entertainment complex located right next door to the Sanford Pentagon, where we're located tonight here. Heritage Court, the host site of this contest between Washington and South Dakota State. The Mammoth Sports Construction Crossover Classic. Duking it out here tonight between these 2 teams. And boy, Terrell Brown Jr. has taken this game over with the last 8 points for the Washington Huskies, including that big and one right there.
It's just what he does. It's in his DNA. He's been doing this for a long time now. He's shooting, 11 of 16 for the game. Only had 1 attempted 3, but he really lives around the rim, about 5-10 feet in. He's been clutch the last couple of minutes here.
Brown at the free throw line knocks this one in. It's a 7-point game now, 68-61. Brown accounted for 35% of Washington's points versus Texas Southern and Wyoming, and has scored in double figures in all 5 games. Now all 6 games this year as Chuck Easley gets a bucket to fall.
Talked about this a little bit earlier. If South Dakota State's going to get back in this and make a game, they got to get stops. They can't trade baskets, and that's what they're doing right now. It's just back and forth, back and forth. But they got to do something a little bit different, maybe throw another body at Brown, but he's really willing them right now.
Brown's going to slow down this offense just a little bit for a moment. Drives in strong, another layup. Boy, he is just carving up this Jackrabbit defense. Friedel, Shireman, both have been starting to get hot. Easley has been keeping him afloat. Easley hands it off to Shireman. Little double clutch, gets some contact, doesn't get the bucket, but will go to the line, and it's almost just as good right now for SDSU as they try to keep this one close.
Wilson's calling for a sub right now, which would be a huge hit to South Dakota State in offensive rebound opportunities. He's a big-time player. Looks like he's limping to the sidelines a little bit, and Apple's going to replace him.
Yeah, not sure where the contact came from. It was off screen there, but they're checking that right ankle, and he's had some issues with his feet since coming to South Dakota State, so hopefully he'll be all right. They're going to get that retaped and hopefully get Doug Wilson back in the game here soon. Shireman right now, though, at the free throw line, misses off the left side of the iron, and boy, you start looking at these free throw numbers. SDSU today has been good for the most part, 10 of 13 after starting the day 1 for 3 from the free throw line, but they've been sound here in the second half. In fact, they've hit 90% of their free throws since the halftime break.
They're getting to the line. They just got to continue to keep knocking them down, but it's not about the offensive end for South Dakota State right now. It's the other side. It's the defensive side of the ball where they're really struggling to keep Brown in front of them and keep Washington off the glass.
Training staff trying to get a little extra tape there on Doug Wilson. We'll check back in with Dougie in a little while. Right now, though, watching Davis and this Huskies team go to work against SDSU's defense. Brown guarded by Friedel. Good matchup there. Noah, a speedy defender. Fuller, the open three, too strong, and now a whistle away from the basketball, and I think this is going to be on Apple for South Dakota State, so a tough break there for the Jacks. Here you see again the play that might have led to the injury for Wilson. Got tripped up there, got his feet tangled, and it's a tough break there for the Jackrabbits a moment ago. Doug still with his shoe off, although it looks like he's getting ready to come back in a moment or two. Huskies right now with the 6-point lead with 6 minutes left to go. Make it an 8-point lead as Terrell Brown puts his hands up, says, I don't know, I can't stop. 28 points now on the day.
And he's doing it himself. He's kind of getting everybody out the way. Let me go on an island and let me go get a bucket. And that's what big-time players do is they just put teams on their back, and he's done it the last couple of days. So the deep three for Shireman.
Man, he had to step back on that one, but Baylor Shireman, the Aurora, Nebraska native, took him a while to get going. He's now got 9 points on 3 of 11 shooting. Making now 2 of 4 from three-point land. 5.5 minutes left to go in regulation. Davis asking for a screen from Matthews, instead passed it away to Brown. Now Brown into the corner to Fuller. Fuller going to work on Friedel. The fadeaway is good. Man, that is a smooth touch from P.J. Fuller.
And credit Washington for making some tough contested shots, but once again, South Dakota State has to look themselves in the mirror and who's going to get a stop? Who's gonna figure out a way? And sometimes you just got to FIO, figure it out. There's not really a recipe to success. It's just getting it done.
Shireman the fadeaway, getting the shooter's touch late.
It's the first time that little leaner's fell tonight. He's starting to feel pretty good. Still a 5-point deficit for South Dakota State. Still trading baskets.
Shireman now in double figures with 11 points. P.J. Fuller got into double figures with his bucket a moment ago. Terrell Brown, by the way, with the ball in hand right now, needs just 3 points to match his career high. They're going to go back to the hot hand Fuller, dripping from the right wing.
He's made a handful of those threes yesterday. He's making them again tonight. This Washington team is playing with a ton of confidence.
Shireman, his shot blocked, but too much contact on the wrist that time. They're going to get Bay with the personal foul. That's his 4th. So now foul trouble becoming a concern for Washington. Bay's got 4. Grant's got 4. SDSU, nobody really in foul trouble tonight. They've got a handful of guys with 2 personals each. Nobody with more than 2 right now. Coach Hopkins is none too pleased over there on that Washington sideline at the moment as Shireman goes to the line.
We talk about how South Dakota State makes a good play or some momentum run. And then Washington just puts a kibosh to it right away. Right? They put an end to it, and they find a way to get a bucket or get to the line or draw some type of foul, maybe get a different stop in transit. But they're doing a really good job of stopping the bleeding right away as Washington. So, once again, South Dakota State, and I keep saying it, got to get stops.
Doug Wilson is checked back in the game. We'll see how effective he is with Apple going to the sideline. They retaped that right foot of his. It was limping just a little bit as he came from that scorer's table. Something to keep an eye on. Is Brown now with his 28 points. 13 makes from the field today. Jack fans wanted to travel, didn't get the call. Now Matthews driving in, and he lost his footing. Doug Wilson shaking his fingers, saying, no, there was no contact there. We get to the media timeout. 77-70 Washington with the advantage. Take a look again as Shireman starts to heat up, trying to will these Jacks back into the game. Back inside the Sanford Pentagon in a 7-point game with 3:47 left to go in regulation. Jacks trying to make a last-minute dash towards the finish line to pick up their second win of this tournament. But they have been good so far this season. South Dakota State right now the only team in the nation with 6 games scoring 80-plus points and making at least 9 three-pointers. Tonight, 70 points. They've made 6 three-pointers, so they need to get things going a little bit more here down the stretch. But the last time they did this was back before they even were a Division I program, back in the D2 days in 2000, 2001. So it's a terrific start for South Dakota State, but if they want to get another game added to that terrific start, they're going to have a big finish here down the stretch.
Well, they score a lot of points because they play really fast, and those threes kind of come with it. They got a ton of shooters, a ton of guys that can space the floor. But that's just how South Dakota State plays. Haven't gotten there yet, but there's still a lot of time left on the clock to eclipse that number.
Jacks are one of the top scoring offenses in the country coming into tonight's play, ranking 10th in the nation, averaging 90 points per game. They're going to be well shy of that mark here tonight. This one from the right corner is good, right in front of the bench. Bay, player we highlighted coming out of the halftime break, he's now got 11 points. That's his third made 3 of the contest. Wilson handing it off to Shireman. Shireman going to work on Matthews. Caught in no man's land, trying the fadeaway. No. Wilson, the putback, no. And Wilson was kind of one-footed there as he came down with the rebound.
He's had a handful of those kind of gimme buckets at the rim that he just hasn't converted. I'd probably say there's about 3 or 4 of those where he just missed point-blank layups at the rim. They are contested, but those are the ones that Wilson normally knocks down.
Looking at some of the inside numbers, Washington on a 6-1 run over the last 2 minutes of action, kind of quieting what was a nice comeback effort from South Dakota State. Both teams have scored 38 points in this half. And a foul just in front of the Washington bench as Brown went to work on Easley. And Brown will go back to the free throw line.
2:30 left in this game, 2:38. Brown on the free throw line, down 10, possibly down 12. South Dakota State's going to have to start trying to create some extra possessions here. They're going to have to pick up the tempo offensively and defensively. Might throw a press at them just to start trying to make them make some decisions a little bit faster. But Washington's really draining out this shot clock and trying to get this game clock down to zeros.
Coach Hopkins looking on from the sideline right now. Has to be pleased with his team's effort here tonight, up by 11. Brown, this free throw would give him 30 points on the night. He's got it. Now one shy of his career high. He has matched, by the way, his career high in field goals made. He's done it twice in his career, last against Cal Baptist last February. Friedel, no. Wilson, the putback, yes. And it's a 10-point game again with 2:27 left to go. And Coach Eric Henderson for South Dakota State wants to take the 30-second timeout.
Well, he's calling this timeout to draw something up defensively and how they're going to speed them up and how they're going to create some extra opportunities offensively. Set down 10 with 2:27 left. Whether it's a press, maybe it's a quick trap, but what they're going to try to do is keep the ball out of Brown's hands, who's been killing them so far tonight. And is known as their gamer, their guy that they're going to go to consistently to put the game on ice. And he's done it yesterday, and he's looking to do it again today. But what is South Dakota State going to do to keep the ball out of his hands and get a stop?
We'll have to see how Washington responds here down the stretch. They've got a couple guys in foul trouble. Bay and Grant each with 4 personals. And the team fouls don't make matters any better for the Huskies right now. They've got 8 team fouls. South Dakota State with 7, so we're in the bonus for both teams. It'll be Brown to trigger this. South Dakota State going with some full court pressure now to try to force a couple turnovers. Time not on South Dakota State's side here at this point. Fuller getting it back to Brown, who gets fouled immediately by Noah Friedel. Brown happy with that. He's got the free trip to the other line to try to set a new career high.
Yeah, that's a foul 92 feet away. That puts one of their best players on the free throw line to try to convert 2 here. So not a great foul away from the rim. They want to speed them up. They want to try to create turnovers, but they don't want to foul them that far away from the rim.
So here's Brown, 30 points on the night, 4 of 5 at the free throw line. He's got 13 of 18 made at the field goal range here in 34 minutes. This one to match his career high. He gets it. Next free throw, if it goes in, will establish a new career high for Terrell Brown. Guy who's played some community college basketball, played at Seattle for a while, then Arizona. Now here with Washington, and boy, has he been a tremendous asset to this team. New career high, 32 points tonight for Terrell Brown Jr. Friedel sends that one out of bounds as he was looking to get bailed out by Shireman, and Shireman saying, yeah, I should have waited. A little miscommunication that time from South Dakota State.
Well, Washington being aggressive, switching all screens kind of, got South Dakota State. Didn't get the look that they wanted in the elevator door screen on the baseline, but Washington's still playing with a lot of intensity defensively. South Dakota State trying to speed up Washington now.
Brown handing it off to Davis. Final thought on Brown. This is the 5th time that he's had at least 31 points in his career. Guy who can really drop it in when he wants to. Tonight has been leading by example in a variety of ways for these Huskies. Shot clock's down to 4 as Brown gets it outside. The 3 off the front side of the iron, no good that time. That one missed from Jamal Bay. And that bucket inside from Noah Friedel is good. Jack's not going quietly into the night with 90 seconds left to go. It's a 10-point game again here inside the Pentagon.
Listen, a minute 30 in basketball is an eternity. There's still some time left. They just got to do some things right. A lot of things got to go their way.
And a foul there as Arians and Easley were in the area. They're going to get Arians with the personal. That's his 3rd.
Now this is going to be a free throw game. If Washington can knock down their free throws down the stretch, this game is on ice. But once again, South Dakota State's going to want to push this ball in transition and get an early shot.
Bay at the line with 11 points tonight. This is his first free throw attempt of the contest, and it's good. Still a minute 20 left to go. Now a double-digit lead for the Huskies as they look to improve to 2-0 here in Sioux Falls at this crossover classic. That free throw no good. Shireman lost his footing there for a moment. He now lost the ball as Davis intercepts that pass to Friedel. Lob City to Matthews. That's the exclamation point right there.
That's exactly it. And you put the exclamation point on this game. Matthews Jr. finishing with authority. Great pass by Davis, but just couldn't get stops down the stretch for South Dakota State. Washington made them pay every time. It seemed like, South Dakota State had something going. Washington had an answer for it. And take your hat off to Washington. These guys played fantastic. Davis gave them a good lift. Fuller did what he does. Matthews, he made some shots early. Bay made some shots. And then obviously you got Brown. That was a fantastic finisher down the stretch.
Credit coach Mike Hopkins, now in his 5th year with this program, for putting together a great game plan tonight, although they'll get the shot clock violation here. 27 seconds left to go now. Shot clock will be turned off the rest of the way. But for this Washington team, now their 3rd win of the season once this wraps up here tonight. After losing an overtime game against Washington, they've now come into Sioux Falls and picked up back-to-back wins against George Mason and the Jackrabbits of South Dakota State as Shireman puts one in at the end. Washington can run this clock out now the rest of the way. The Huskies will improve to 3-2 on this young non-conference season. South Dakota State just their second loss of the 2021 and 22 campaign. Good finish here to day 2 of this Mammoth Sports Construction Crossover Classic. There's Terrell Brown Jr.'s final line. Scored 20-plus points in 5 of his last 6 games. Now a career-high effort tonight, both in field goals made and in points scored. He's going to take the game ball with him into that locker room. Well-deserved effort here tonight from Terrell Brown.
As he should. He was fantastic tonight. He really put this Washington Husky team on their back, and he just led them to victory. He just couldn't be stopped late in that second half of just getting to the rim, hitting mid-range jump shots. Got some other guys involved too, but he was phenomenal tonight.
Take a look at our final stats this evening here. Washington shot over 50%, almost 60% for the day. A terrific shooting night for the Huskies.
Well, South Dakota State didn't make any threes, and Washington did. And that's where Washington didn't do a great job of coming into this game with making shots, but everybody stepped up. It was a collective effort from Washington tonight, the same way it was a collective effort from South Dakota State last night. And, you know, it was just a well-executed game plan by Coach Hopkins and his crew.
As far as points in the paint, pretty even. Bench points, though, for Washington proved to be a big point of emphasis here tonight, and they ended up getting a big effort from some of those bench players. Here's a matchup look for tomorrow's action in what is our final day of this 3-day tournament. Nevada will take on Washington at 6 o'clock on ESPN+, followed by George Mason against South Dakota State at 8:30. 4 games in 2 days are now in the books here inside the Pentagon as these two teams head into the locker rooms. Taking a look here now as our players to watch tonight, and they showed out. Douglas Wilson, 18 points, 12 rebounds, another double-double for Wilson for South Dakota State. P.J. Fuller, real spark plug off that bench again for Washington.
Yeah, Fuller did a fantastic job of not just creating opportunities for himself, but also for his teammates. He did a really good job of knocking down shots early in that first half, had some momentum going. But Wilson, once again, he did a really good job on the offensive glass, getting some of them second chance opportunities. But he's an explosive athlete around the rim. They just couldn't do enough on the defensive end to get some stops to start gapping that lead.
Yeah, South Dakota State had done a great job, had 9 3-pointers made in every game except for tonight, just 6 tonight. That zone defense that the Huskies brought really provided the difference, I think, in slowing them down in that 3-point opportunity.
Well, the game plan defensively, you can tell with Coach Hopkins, is to really suck out on those shooters and let the bigs operate in the paint, right? And that really, really worked because it really made those shooters uncomfortable. They put a ton of bodies around Wilson. They made it tough on him. But Apple and Detlinger, they just kind of left on an island and said, hey, we're going to let these guys beat us. And it didn't happen today. South Dakota State never got rolling. That ball never went downhill. And that's why Washington won tonight.
One more day to go at the Crossover Classic here in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. The Sanford Pentagon will be rocking again tomorrow night. We hope you can join us at 6 o'clock for that one. Some of the highlights from this one is South Dakota State battled but come up short against Washington, 87-76. One final note, we want to thank our producer, Chad Hunt, our director, Christine Ellenboat, and, of course, Brett Geese, and all the hardworking men and women who have helped out here in our production crew today. We want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in and joining